When the game gets rough and this life just seems so tough, make we talk, my people, make we talk. When this town becomes an ugly place, don't let it erase the smile from your face. Make we talk, people, make we talk. Conversation is the key, a guiding light for you and me. Spark a talk and you will see. Conflict solver A to Z. World leaders master the art of self-defense just by talk. So people, when the game gets rough and this life just seems so tough, make we talk, my people, make we talk. When this town becomes an ugly place, don't let it erase the smile from your face. Make we talk, people, make we talk. Conversation is the key, a guiding light for you and me. Spark a talk and you will see.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. Wherever you're listening, watching from around the world in the Eastern Caribbean, it is a special edition of the Make We Talk program. This evening or tonight here, we have with us one of Jamaica's state lady of all time, former First Lady of Jamaica, Mrs. Beverley Anderson-Manley Duncan. Mrs. Manley, welcome to the program, to the Make We Talk program.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's good to be here. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Mrs. Manley, tell us, who is Beverley Manley? For those who don't know who's coming up now, who do not know about a Beverley Manley, who is this Beverley Manley?
How much time you have?
I have a long time. I have all night.
All right. I'm the second of 4 children born to my father, who was Eric Anderson, and a lay preacher in the Anglican Church. And also, in terms of his job, his profession, he was a railway station master. So one of the things that was interesting about growing up is that we were moving from place to place because he was transferred often. So sometimes we would live in Kingston, next thing overnight you'd be gone to Greenville or somewhere else. So in that sense, we got to know Jamaica. And if you wouldn't know, but the railway station, his office would be, just beside his office would be a big waiting room. And the Higglers would bring their stuff there overnight to catch the early train in the morning. And I think that was the first time that I really came in touch with grassroots people. I'm just thinking about that now for the first time, because we used to stay upstairs and look through the window downstairs and watch these mostly women. I don't remember any men, but the women who had come to spend the night in the station. And I had a very high regard for Daddy, because Daddy was very nice for them, really, help them in any way that he could, because some of them had to have almost like a shower, not a shower, but a clean-up area,
Right.
where he allowed all that for them, and they would talk among each other, so we got to grow up with a patois and a real kind of grassroots setting. So that is how I came into the world, I guess, my early memories. And then I went to, when we were in Kingston for a while, I went to Franklin Town School, and we were so lucky to have the Vidal Smiths. In those days, when you have Mr. and Mrs. Vidal Smith, you had teachers. I always tell people that if I didn't go to another school, apart from Franklin Town, I'd be well schooled. We'd walk into school to classical music. I mean, we had to read a lot. We had excellent teachers. I
Mhm.
mean, we were very fortunate in all of that.
Mrs. Manley, I have with me one of Jamaica's son of the soil, who hailed from Waterhouse, a man who continued to help his Jamaican people. Retired FBI agent Wilfred Rattigan hailed from Waterhouse. Mr. Rattigan,
Hmm.
to the program, we have with us Mrs. Beverley Manley.
Hi,
Yes, can you hear me? Can you
Yeah.
hear me?
we
All
can
right,
hear
look.
you.
All right, Jeffrey, thank you for having me. This is Manley. I don't know if, oh, should I
Yes,
refer to you? Should I refer to you? Just tell me.
Beverly, Beverly.
Beverly. All right, it's my
Yes.
distinct honor and pleasure to be here with you. Let me just say this before I start that I met you way back when, mid 70s. Your husband, you and your husband showed up in Waterhouse at Penn Avenue, the constituency office,
Hmm.
and he gave a speech. And when you were leaving, you put your hand out of the car and you just touch all of the pick of them. And I was one of the pick of them who touched
Okay,
your
okay.
hand. I
Who was
felt
the
that
member of parliament? Who was the MP at that
David,
time?
David Core.
Ah, is that
Yeah.
the constituency that the no Prime Minister has?
No, no,
Waterhouse?
no. He has part.
Adjoining though.
They have
Adjoining.
yeah. So he has.
Hmm.
He's primarily over in Tower Hill and Cockburn Pen over that side, but he has a part of
Yes,
Waterhouse now, which he
part
didn't
of
have.
that, yeah. And we
Yeah,
should tell the people who are watching who may not be aware that David Core was a former Minister of
fine.
Finance
Yeah.
during the Michael Manley administration.
Was it you also from a Minister of Foreign Affairs too?
No,
Yes.
maybe national security, but I remember him most as Minister of Finance. And
Finance, yes,
actually,
yes.
since it's Michael's centennial, I'll just say that David Core was his best friend from high school, which was JC.
Mhm.
And when the other boys wouldn't talk to Michael because he was a manly privilege, um, David was the only person in the class who talked to him. So they remain lifelong friends.
Yes. I'm glad you talk about David Core. I'm gonna have Mr. Rattigan come on in. I remember, I don't know if this was true, but I remember when a budget debate, when there was a budget speech to be written, the Prime Minister came up to you, then Prime Minister Michael Manley, and you spoke about it in your memoir, came up to you and said, Beverly, I don't know what to do. What should I do? At one point, he was saying, I want to raise bus fare. You said to him, no, you can't raise bus fare. And he said to you, I don't know what to do. And he said to him, well,
And what
give
I told, I remember that. But you have to understand that Michael and I weren't weren't just in love, we were partners. We really became partners. So he discussed most things with me. And I told him that the bus fare, like when I was growing up, my mother would still be upset that he had raised the bus fare because she'd be upset because she had 4 children to find bus fare for. So in
Mhm.
those days when bus fare went up, we had to walk. We'd walk one way and then take the bus one way. So,
Mhm.
she could make it work because her job, she was a stay-at-home housewife, and her job was to just make the money work because she
Mhm.
was not going to ask anybody for anything. So when he came, Burley, me at Jamaica House at the time, and when he came upstairs, because he had a whole room full of people downstairs, different people talking about what they'd like to see in the budget, giving advice, giving suggestions, etc. I said, no, because it is still going to, no matter how far down you put the bus fare, the average working class person is still going to have a problem because it's not one person they're going to have to pay bus fare for. And then
Yes.
the idea came up about the why not just make education free, you know? And he went back downstairs, and it wasn't easy because I think the advice he got when he suggested it was that there was no money, not enough money to do it. But he was very clear that if you waited on money to do everything in a post-colonial society like Jamaica, you wouldn't do much thing. You wouldn't do much.
Mhm.
You just had to take a risk. And he was a risk taker. Bless his
Yeah.
heart.
Yes. Mr. Rattigan, you can ask Mrs.
Yes.
Manley.
Beverly, let me take you back. I did a little research on you, and you mentioned that you came from a working class background. Your father was a station manager, railway station manager.
Mm-hmm.
He brought home a salary every week, which was
Yes.
kind of uh, wasn't the norm in Rollington town in those days. And that you said that you had porridge for lunch. The question was what kind of porridge. Um,
Yeah, my mother was very, very, very. My mother was very. My mother really knew how to cook. She knew how
mhm.
to cook, and we'd enjoy the porridge. Let me tell you, whether it's cornmeal, green banana porridge. Have you had that?
Yeah, man.
Oh,
Green
could
banana
drink
mix.
some
Uh,
right now. Yeah, man.
but here's where I
You
want to go
were
with it.
well fed,
Yeah,
never hungry.
here's where I want to go with it. You mentioned that you you were growing up. You were caught in a unquote power vortex. Said that you grew up with a mother who was very dominant and a father who did his own thing, and so your father kind of confused you. The question is, what role did you expect your father to play? Because
Not that he confused me, but my mother, he allowed my mother to be dominant.
Mhm,
And as I grew older, what I recognized is that if he didn't allow her to be dominant, it could have been a big problem.
mhm.
She needed to be dominant, and she needed to be dominant in a situation where nobody was going to try to stop her. Her main focus, because she sacrificed her life for her children.
Right.
And I say that because she actually was privileged to the extent that she was a highbrow lady in the society. And she also went to high school. I forget the name of it now, but she went to high school. So she every evening we came home from school, we had another school. She'd
Mhm,
say, "What did you learn today?" And we had to tell her, and then she would prepare us for the next day,
mhm.
so that we could be ahead of everybody else. So she gave her entire life so that her children could go to school and become whatever. Her
No,
entire life.
no, your parents were extremely ambitious. I believe you said your mother wanted to be a doctor and your father wanted to be a lawyer, and
Yeah.
there was so much power in that house, and that your father, he wanted, his role model was Norman Manley, and that he wanted his children because of the ethics of the man, um,
Integrity.
and the integrity of the man, that he wanted you to be like him. No, what's interesting is that your mother was the dominant one, and so even in the Manley Memoirs, right? I expected you to kind of like say, well, I was leaning towards what my mother wanted out of us, but it seemed as if you kind of moved to what your father, and you realize this later on in life. Now, writing the book, it because I'm writing a book right now, and I'm telling you, it's a very cathartic experience because I'm
Oh, it
writing things
is.
about
It
my mother,
is.
and I'm sometimes when I, because my mother, God bless her soul, my role model, and sometimes when I write, tears come to my eyes when I think about
Yeah.
my mom. How was it for you writing the Manley Memoirs?
As you use the word cathartic, and I would agree to that word. One of the famous writers in the Caribbean, a Nobel Peace writer actually, Naipaul. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
Naipaul. I don't know if he's not the most popular, but I tell you, he had a saying that went like this. He says, "Writing clarifies," and
Mm-hmm.
it really does. If you're having some confusion, just write it down. Writing clarifies. And one of the things that writing my book did for me was just that. It made me see the patterns in my own life, that I had not seen before. It made me look at that whole thing of power, because when you are in the gender world, let me put it that way, and I'm a feminist and I was a advocate in gender relations. The question of power always comes up. And I remember when I was doing a second MSc at the university, what was the university? A university in America. I remember the name shortly. And we were asked if we could write an essay on power and how it operates in our own lives. And it was writing that essay that made me realize that my father was not lacking in power. As a matter of fact, he was a powerful man. He was a powerful man because he knew exactly how to deal with my mother. He knew exactly how to allow her to just be herself and be her own power in a relationship that could have gone a completely different way. So writing really, as Naipaul says, clarifies.
Let me ask you one quick question, because I see we have a sister here. So my sister, no, let me ask you this. You said your mother explained to the whole family that education was a way to navigate out of poverty.
Oh, yes.
But it will appear to me as if in what your mom said and what you've written, that education was no way, given your color, was no way to get you into a certain social class. Can you speak to that?
Let me explain the color question. She was high brown, my father was black. The problem we had, my mother and I had problems for all my life because the power thing again. She wanted me to be who she wanted me to be, and I wanted to be me. I wanted to be the person I wanted to be. So we had a lot of problems. Plus, I was the darkest one in the family. My sisters were all brown. I was nearer to my father in terms of black. And there were times I could not understand why she gave me chores to do that she wouldn't give the others. You know, she would give me things to do that she wouldn't give the others to do. And I always felt that I was the one, the outside one. You know, that's how it appeared to me. But guess what? When my mother was dying, she died when she was 96. And when she was dying, I went to her and I said, Mama, I want you to forgive me for all the time when I was so rude to you and so horrible to you, you know. And she said, why? Forgive you for what? I said, because I felt that you always treated me as the odd one out. Because she did tell me, but by the time she was pregnant with me, and you see her saying, the time she was pregnant with me, she did not want any more children because their marriage had finished. And so she said when she got pregnant with me, she did not want the baby. My mother told me that. And of course, that had quite an impact on me. But at 96, just before she died, I went to her and said, let's have this conversation because I don't want to carry it any longer. And you know what? She looked at me and said, she said, I had to be hard on you because you were the darkest one and you were a woman. And I know you're going to have a hard time. And I want you to understand that you have the power to be anything you want to be, no matter what your skin color is. My mother just at the age of 96 was telling me that although I saw it as her not loving me as much as the other, my siblings, that what was in her head was, how do I prepare this little girl to take on anything she wants to take on, no matter what color she is.
And Mr. You finished, Mr. Rattigan?
Yes, yeah.
Yes. I'm gonna invite Marie to come on in. But that same thing that your mother spoke to you about, the racism and so forth. Later on in your life, you end up facing that when you're married to Michael Manley.
Oh God, didn't I? I'm glad she spoke to me that way. Because maybe if she didn't, I would not have been able to stand up to the people in the society who felt that he shouldn't marry me. But I was able to stand up for it, and I couldn't stand up to it unless I had his support. Oh God, he was good at support. He really supported me, had conversations with me, and he would say, look, anything we don't understand about each other, we don't go to bed on it. So you're going to sit up in this bed. Whether it's something to do with me, your mother, whoever, You're going to sit up in this bed until we sort it out before we go to bed. Oh, that changed my life because the way I grew, I would keep things quiet, keep things to myself, and maybe even manage the person who was involved. But I didn't have the courage to just bring it out. He taught me to do that. Without that, I don't think, and without his strong support, it would have been very challenging for me to be with him in a society in Jamaica that is so class conscious and race conscious because, of course, you know, race and class are highly correlated in Jamaica. So I was able to really deal with that.
And it's still going on now in Jamaica. Classes.
Oh yes. Oh yes, and then you must remember too the when I married Michael, I had an afro. My wedding pictures had an afro. My dress wasn't a traditional dress, so I got a lot of criticism about that. A lot of my clothes were African clothes. There were children for the first time in Jamaica cutting their hair and having an afro, even when their parents were upset. I remember a woman came to me years after and said, you know, that when she was a teenager, because her parents wouldn't allow her to have an afro like mine, she did it at school and she went home one evening with an afro. And her parents were very upset. She got a beating for it. She was very upset. And I'm sure that was not the only occasion when something like that happened. And the mail, oh God, the letters, oh, people wrote the letters. Why you don't straighten your hair? I mean, I burnt a lot of that. Sometimes I'm sorry I burnt it because it would make for an interesting book.
And in that same breath, you also started were you the one who started the PNP Women's Movement?
No, I'm a founding president.
Yes.
When there was a women's auxiliary, a PNP women's auxiliary. You know, like how you have a church auxiliary?
Yes.
And of course, I was in that. I wasn't the president, not president, I was the convener. And after I was there for a while, I said, why don't we build a really strong women's movement? And you must remember at the time, you know, feminism, I mean, it was all over the place. I mean, you know, women were beginning to have conversations. By the way, I like your theme. I like the advertisement you have about conversations because I'm a great believer in the fact that transformation happens in conversations. You have to have conversations if you are going to have transformation. So I was very glad to hear that. So this is very much I regard what you're doing here as very much a conversation.
Thank you very much.
So we moved from auxiliary under my leadership to a movement. So I am the founder of the PNP Women's Movement. It should have been about the mid-70s. And we took on all the things to do with women, all the things that women were against, you know, the conflict between men and women in those days, 50 odd years ago. You know, women, there were so many things that women lacked and that women were just taking for granted. You know, so we came up with maternity leave law. And every time we came up with something, there was a faction in the society that was against what we're doing. So we had problems internal in the PNP itself because there were people in the PNP. One man said to me one night after an executive meeting, come here, Beverley, let me say something to you. So I went across to him and he said, why you don't just kiss babies and cut ribbons? And, you know, I thanked him very much. Because of him, I never cut a ribbon the whole time I was married to Michael Manley. If I went to a function and they said to me, we'd like you to cut a ribbon, which often happened, I said, why don't you tell me who are the people involved in this project? And I would choose one of the grassroots people involved in the project to cut the ribbon, never cut a ribbon. So I was grateful to him for that.
Yes.
But that's how women were seen. I can remember when the Commonwealth, can I give you another one?
Go ahead.
Okay. I can remember the Commonwealth Prime Minister's Conference was held in Jamaica. May have been 76. And I said to Michael and the protocol people in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, I say, anywhere I go with Michael, they always give me something, like something to do, like that is supposed to be things that women do. So I said, how would you react if I said to you, let's organize the wives who are coming with their husbands, because it was Jamaica, so we had quite a few wives in Kane, and ask them what each of them would like to do, and we provide for that. And some of them wanted to do the stuff that women do, daycare center kind of stuff. I'm not knocking that because that's very important. But for the women like me, who were at that time, we were into academia and, other stuff, serious stuff. I said, why don't I have a conference with those women at the same time the men, because we're not allowed. I tried first to see if we could attend the conference that the men were in, but that we couldn't get that. So I said, suppose we have a separate conference. And the foreign affairs people bought it. So I had a conference with the wives who wanted to come to the conference. It was amazing. And we're discussing issues as we understood them, regional issues, and some of them were more, international issues. But that was the kind of part, when I say partnership, Michael loved that. He was very open to things that were non-traditional. And I'll never forget, I must tell you this, that by then I'd had conversations with Mrs. Trudeau, who was very young, and I understand was like a hippie. And I think she was the first person who shared her thoughts in the conference. And to our surprise, she got up and started to sing. And the rest of us just said, okay, it wasn't a problem. That's what I'm saying. That was the kind of conference we had. Whoever wanted to talk about what being a wife of a prime minister was, or whatever they wanted to talk about, that was the conference that we had. And that was so throughout the time that I was married to Michael. I mean, he was just so open. I remember the first time I went to him, I said, Michael, I want to have a session with you about gender. And he said, all right, I don't know anything. I've never been into that. So what are you
I think there's a call coming in. Mrs. Manley, are you there?
talking about? So I was, sharing. Yeah. No call is coming in on my side.
Oh, sorry, because you got frozen a
Go
while.
ahead.
Continue.
Yeah. So what he said last time. We're trying to make sure the heads are there.
Okay.
Okay.
You.
Okay. And he looked at me, after I told him, he said, Beverley, it just makes sense. After that, I had a phrase I could use from a prime minister, because guess what? It just makes sense that if men and women are to be together, whatever, in terms of policy making, in terms of programs, in terms of intimacy, all kinds of conversations, that we needed to have a better understanding of who we really are and the roles that had been assigned for us to play. Not nature, not natural roles, but those roles that says a woman does this and a man does that. Because a woman can do anything too, and a man can do anything. So the partnership was deepened because of gender issue.
I have with me now Marie. Marie, come on into the conversation. They helped me host this program, Mrs. Manley. And Marie, you can ask Mrs. Manley a question, her journey to Jamaican politics and so forth. Go ahead.
Hi,
Okay, thank
Marie.
you, Jeffrey, and greetings, Rattigan. Mrs. Manley, it is an awesome pleasure to be sharing this space with you. And to everybody in the chat, a blessed Monday evening. And I have to say, my dad would be very proud of me this evening. And this is a full circle moment. You know, life has a way of happening.
Yes.
And you interviewed my dad in the 70s. My dad is Lawrence Edwards, the artist. And he
Okay.
was a friend of Beverly Manley. I mean of Edna Manley. And
Edna.
kept,
Yeah.
and I'm like, yeah. And I'm saying to myself, you know, when Rattigan said it to me earlier, I said, Rattigan, she interviewed my dad in the 70s on JBC. You know,
That's
so
amazing.
life has a way of happening. And I'm thinking to myself, how do
Yeah.
I have a conversation with Beverly, Mrs. Manley? How, you know, Mrs. Manley Duncan? Because I I am more inclined to learn from you because you're a wealth, a reservoir of information. And there's so many, any topic that one can think of, we can have a conversation with you on that topic from now until next year this time. And we would not have exhausted anything. And I appreciate you and all the work that you have done to advance the rights of women and to advance the rights of children because you have done so much work to advance and advocate for the least among us. And listening to you talk earlier is two things I want to ask you about. And one is, how did your mom's treatment of you, raising you, how did that affect the way or influence the way you raised your children, especially your daughter Natasha? And the other one, which I would love for you to ventilate the issue of, is two. It's a two-part question. The second one, equal pay for women, as well as the Bastard Act. Please ventilate those two issues so we understand that policy, the People's National Party, especially the women in the party, were policy driven and not just the politics of voting in, but it was about policy. So please ventilate those two specific issues, and then talk about how you raised your upbringing affected how you raised your daughter.
First of all, let me thank you for how you have said it, what you have said, and how you have said it. Because you're talking about me, it's you. You are obviously, you know, well spoken, and I'm here to learn from you. You're here to learn from me. That's what's wonderful about a conversation. There's nothing special about me. Because just when I listen to you, what you make me want to do is to think more carefully about what we did for children and what it meant for the children. Not just, I mean, the whole thing that was like a basic school. I mean, the founder of basic school in Jamaica, an amazing gentleman called D.R.B. Grant, came to see me at Jamaica House early in the early days. And he said he came to see me because he wanted to put a proposal to me. So I said, all right, what is it? He said, you must be searching, for something to do, what you can do. And he told me about early childhood education. And that gentleman, he had me, when I decided, yes, I would go for it, he had me trained in the basic school as a teacher. I never taught, but he wanted me to understand what I was going to. And that this area was the most needy area in terms of education, although it was scientifically proven that a child's brain grows from beginning to about 7 years old, faster than it will ever grow again. So if the child gets that education, that level of education, they can almost teach themselves. And even then, even under our administration, the children, that area of schooling got the least money in the budget. So, we're not going to be fighting from scratch. And I'm a fighter, I can say that. And again, that was come from my mother. And courage. Ooh, did she give me courage. When she died, I said, that's what I'm going to take from her, the courage. So I went across, I think I must have visited every basic school in Jamaica. And I saw schools that were in a garage, with teachers who only got the children because that particular woman probably was staying at home so she could keep the children. I mean, the most awful conditions. And I'm telling you, what a fantastic thing what that was. And we made great strides, and we are still fighting for that. And as I say, I was then able now to go to the policymakers and say, look, not only the policymakers, I went to the private sector organization, had a group of them at Jamaica House to explain what it was all about. I went to all the major people in the society to say, find a school, a doctor school, do whatever you can do, because this is a terrible thing that these children are being treated in this kind of way. So I learned a lot that way because it really took me through many areas in Jamaica. So to go to the question of did I raise my children? No, it was another time. I'm very clear that when my mother was raising us, it was a totally different perspective. Totally different. I mean, children, by the time I had my children, they had a voice. When I was growing up, I didn't have a voice. You were spoken to. And the problem I had with my mother is because my voice was always in the room, and my sisters would say to me, why you don't just keep quiet and make her talk? Don't say anything. Don't do what we are doing. Don't get courageous. But don't get into that. But I couldn't help myself. I literally could not help myself. If she said A, I said B. Right throughout my life with her, we had that kind of thing. Natasha, Natasha, I'd be talking to Natasha and I would say, but Natasha, you should do law. And I would say to her while we're having a conversation, excuse me a minute, I just need to go to the bathroom. Bathroom what? I went in there and took a deep breath because she was handling the conversation more than I was handling it. But seriously, it meant we could have talks. And it wasn't easy because she was getting the kind of education in keeping with the time. As in my time, I don't know about yours, but it would be, you must be seen and not heard. So the whole bringing them up had to be different. I was beaten as a child for punishment. I never beat my children because I was beaten. I would say to them, I had a little thing with them, and with Natasha, I would say, come, it's time your mommy had a little talk. And she told me later in life that sometimes she wished she would I would use a strap, because when she heard me say that, she knew exactly what was coming. So I go back to conversations and the importance of conversation. I had conversations with my children. I listened to what they had to say, and they were able to listen. And what I worked out a thing where I would say to them, why don't both of us decide, arrange something and agree to something? For example, I give you the example of when David came home from college once and he wanted to borrow my car. And I said, all right, let's have a conversation about the car. If you take the car without my permission, then that's going to be a serious thing because we have to agree what that punishment should be. And he said, but I'm not going to do that. I said, listen, if you take the car without my permission, let us decide what the punishment should be. And we talked about it, and he said, that I don't get the car for the rest of the holiday. I said, that's what you're suggesting? He said, yes. I said, I agree. Hold my hand and make us know that we agree. So you use the car, and the first time he took it without my permission, it was my job now not to say, I'm going to give you a break, but to say, David, what was the decision we made about the car? And he didn't even want to repeat it. I said, no, repeat it. What was it? And he said, that I wouldn't get the car again. And I said, that's right. So you know what it is. You took the car. So as of now, you're not going to take the car again. You get that? You and I agreed. And I use that in most of the time with my children. And because they knew that, they were very careful about what agreements they made with me, and it became a thing in the house. And it helped a lot, really helped a lot, because there were many times when, we'd have problems with each other. And I would just remind them, this is what you said you would agree to. And I agreed to it. I don't know if that answers you.
Yeah, and
It is a different view.
expound, if you will, please, on the policy equal pay for women.
All right. We are
Yeah.
still, when we did the data and considered the way in which men were being, how much more, I don't have the figures in front of me, but they were being much more paid than women, even in the civil service, it was happening. And then you must remember to, one of the reasons we, and I say we because it was never me, always had a team with me working. And when I say a team, we discovered early that we needed to have alliances because the society was very backward when it came to a number of the things we wanted to do. So we had alliances with the women from the Young Women's Christian Association. We had alliances with the communist women. Any group we could find of women who wanted to work with us, worked with us. We led it, but we had all of these women. So we never ever had to do anything unless we had a group of women with us. And it really helped. It was sometimes I would have to do a one-on-one with like a minister. I remember Minister of Labor at the time. And when I went to see him, he told me that I was doing all of this because I wanted his job. So I just burst out one piece of laughing. I didn't realize I was out of laughing. I said, want you what? I said, look at me, go down and tell me something now. You think if I wanted your job, Michael Manley wouldn't put me in the Senate and give me your job? You're a joker. He was a right winger though. By that time I was seen as a left winger. And where was I now? Yes, so, but in many cases, like when we did the food thing, because in the 70s, they withheld the food, people, what you call people to food?
You mean food
They,
stamps?
yeah, the food distributors
Yes,
held
yes,
back
yes.
food from us. And so we had to go now and to talk to the private sector and get them to understand that we're not going to put up with that because it wasn't fair to poor people, right? For them to have the food and hide it and not giving it to, not allowing the poor people to buy it. So we decided that I was going to lead a group of these women who we had alliances with, and we were going to go and see, at the time, I think it was Carlton Alexander. Some people remember him, a lovely man. Carlton Alexander, who was the head of the PSOJ. He was the head of Grace Kennedy. So we went, and those of us on this side, call it my side, were on this side of the table, and on the other side of the table were all these giants in the private sector, right? Who were not really with the PNP either, you know. So we had a meeting before and decided that if they did not give in to us, then, make it possible for more women to get food, then what we would do is I would just hold up a piece of paper with all the things we're asking for, and we would get up quietly and leave the room. Wouldn't even end the conversation. We would just leave the room. And then what we did is we had hundreds of grassroots women downstairs, right? So we had a group, we had a big group downstairs. They didn't know that at the time. And we told them when somebody went to the window or something, they should just start singing. And they started to sing. And at that stage now, Carlton Alexander said, Beverly, come here a little bit. Let's just go in our room. Me and you talk, man. Me and you can talk. So I said, Carlton, what I love you. What you want me to do? Him said, just relax, give us a little break. We can't do what you want us. That kind of talk. So I said, so can't tell me something now. When I give in to you and I go downstairs, what you think I should tell those women downstairs? Write the speech for me. Tell me what I'm to tell the women who are suffering downstairs. And he realized we didn't have a deal. So that was it. And we didn't get much that day, but towards the end, we did get a few things because we started to monitor the organizations that were stealing the food. I mean, it just took a lot of courage because, as I said, inside the BNP, there was a big problem with it by certain elements in the BNP. But we had, it's a centennial for Michael Manley. I can tell you something. We had him. We had him. Just stand up and support us, man. So I say to people who want to do advocacy, make sure you have a group with you, so that you're not alone with the leadership team, and make sure whoever is the leader is going to stay with you, no matter what. And let me tell you, that's where he was good. You go to him and convince him, that was it.
Yes. I want to let everyone know we're listening, watching from around the world in the Eastern Caribbean. We're having an interview here with Mrs. Beverley Manley Duncan, one of Jamaica's finest state women of all time. A lady who is highly respected around the world. Actually, Mrs. Manley, one of our friends, Ambassador Curtis Ward, said to tell her hello.
Oh, yes. Give him my love. We used to be in the Progressive League together when I was in DC, about to write for a PhD. Never finished it because I learned so much more about knowledge and education, just getting prepared. And then it was time for Natasha to do her common entrance. So I was in Washington and she was in Jamaica. And I felt I should it was her turn. So I came home so I could be with her to get her ready for that exam, critical exam. Yeah, Curtis, know him very well.
Yes, I'm going to have Mr. Rattigan come on in, but I want to ask you this question before Mr. Rattigan come on in. What is your views now? Sitting back and looking what is going on into Jamaica now, what is your views now in this country of ours, where $3 trillion is unaccountable for, the health sector is out of work, security is out of work, young people are just killing off each other. As a Jamaican, a former First Lady, your views on that?
I want to start by saying that I wish the United States had not stopped us. I don't know how many people understand what I mean, but a number of documents are now being declassified in America, and we will soon be able to see them online. The first one I saw told me that they wanted to assassinate Michael 3 times. I didn't even know that. I thought it was twice, 3 times. I'm saying that because countries like ours that really are for poor people and want to really make the economy. They had an expression, I think it was after 1976, where the IMF said, or if not the IMF, the US, the CIA said, make the economy scream. You listen to that. Listen to that. Do whatever you have to do to get Michael Manley out. If we had got more support, a lot of things is happening in Jamaica today would not be happening, including crime. Because let me tell you, when you go into even an inner city area, even now, when you ask them, what can we do? What is, what they say? They want to be respected. They don't, first of all, say we need money or we need this or that. When you really get to talk to them, they want respect. And once when poll was done in one of these areas, inner city areas in Kingston, and they were doing up the report and trying to find out what the report should be called. And one of the people from the area said, they cry respect. Respect. Because of the whole social class thing, you know, you have a dinner party, and it's only a certain type of person is there. You know, I'm in my house, is only a certain type of person must come to the house. And when you ask, we're going to invite so and so, they say, oh, you're going to invite so and so. Like he's not a human being. That's a big problem that Jamaica has to get over. And people from the 70s will tell you, if it's one thing that they are happy for, is that those who did political education with us, those who we respected, will go to their grave with that respect. With that respect. So I think, to answer your question, I think a lot of that has sort of, you know, gone the way of whatever. But the PNP had a policy that from the beginning, when we were founded by Norman Manley and others in 1938, that we were for the masses of the people. We're very clear. And we have remained like that. We weren't into anything trickling down to them. We were putting them first. And that was a problem in the 70s because we were also friends with our closest neighbor, which is Cuba. And Michael couldn't understand how you're going to have a community, a country, and its closest neighbor is Cuba. He was not going to be for that. He was going to respect his closest neighbor and respect their philosophical output, their philosophy, and also allow them to be who they are. Because we had the confidence, Michael said, I have the confidence as a leader that I can remain who I am. Nobody don't have to tell me who I am. And so he became friends with Fidel, not friends in terms of ideology and going over into communism. That was a stupid. Jamaica have two political parties. I don't know how we would become communists. I just don't know how. Because one party was totally against us and very much in keeping with the Americans. Right?
Yes.
So I don't understand. It was just, but you see, they had this deep fear that if Jamaica was to go a certain way, a domino type thing would become possible.
Yes.
And other countries, because Grenada had happened already, and Manley, they saw Manley as a very powerful man. Certainly Kissinger did. Sent Kissinger to Jamaica for what? Because you want some poor people to eat food? And then, you know, you had the whole thing of the upper classes leaving and going to man.
Yes.
Or wherever they went. And I hear many of them saying now that they would never leave Jamaica for any reason again, because they realized that life up there was pretty hard too. So what is happening in Jamaica today is that the party is not as strong as it used to be. Like we don't have a political education program to keep people understanding what we were about and why it was in their interest to support us. And I think a reason for that, and this is something that I've just thought about recently, is that the 70s is not that far away. And there are people who are alive who felt it. There are people who are alive who had a rough time because of it. Because we did have a rough time. There are people who have lost people who have died or who were killed.
Yes.
That memory is still there. And even for the party, I think we have to be very careful now and make sure this time around that people, we really have a majority of the people who would stay with us and stick with us. Because I think the Americans would come in again. And I remember a CIA gentleman telling me once that They don't go into any country that they are not invited, where they're not invited. What does that say? Because we didn't invite them. You
Hmm.
know, so the whole, I think the whole geopolitics, the whole thing has shifted. The whole thing has shifted.
Mhm.
Michael
Mhm.
shifted with it. Of course he did, because on his own, when I look back, although I didn't see it at the time, when I look back, I realized that, you know, he would have very few alliances across the world, I think. And
Yes.
I really want to say that. And I
Yes.
always say that what, I know you're coming to the end. I'm a broadcaster, so I'm aware of that. That you're coming to the end. You're coming to the end of the show.
No, and I want Mr. Rattigan to come in with the next question before you
Oh
go.
no,
Though.
let's not go. No, I was going to say quickly
Yes.
that when we had got our divorce, I
Mhm.
always said it was because of ideology. I
Oh,
didn't
okay.
understand where he was going, and he was the one who taught me almost everything I know about politics.
Yes. And I just want to say to everyone who, sorry, go ahead.
Mm-mm. I
I just
want
want to
her
say
to
to,
come in.
yes, I want to say everyone who's in the chat, just don't come on in the chat and talk. Subscribe to the channel, share the channel that everybody can see one of Jamaica's beloved first lady, a woman who said to former Prime Minister, the late Michael Manley, give free education in the 1970s. In the 1973 budget debate, that's the time when Michael Manley came up with free education, all because of his wife, Beverley Manley.
And you know, it's the most popular. It's still the most popular program
Yes,
everywhere I go.
yes, yes.
Because it shifted people's lives to come in. One lawyer said to me, let me tell you, I was in New York doing my book, and he said, you have to sign it for me. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be a lawyer. And that's just one man.
Yes. I want to welcome in now Mr. Rattigan as he come on, to speak, to ask Mrs. Beverly Manley. As she said, we must call her Bev, but I will call her Auntie Bev. Ask Auntie Bev his question. Mr. Rattigan, go ahead.
Yeah, Beverly, back in 1952, Norman Manley had a crisis. He had
Yes.
we had a crisis within the party. They had the left, the center, and the right. And he was
Mm-hmm.
instructed, advised by many in the society, including the governor general, that he should get rid of the left. And
Mm-hmm.
to some extent, he did. So when his son took over in 1969, he had a huge crisis because now he had to bring some of those people back. He had a fight, from my understanding, on two fronts. He had to bring the left back, and at the same time, he had to deal with the he called it a coalition of classes. He had to deal with the majority of the people who were marginalized, and so he tried to broaden that tent to include everyone, which was an arduous task and also a courageous task considering where he came from. He didn't have to do this, and he did this at great personal expense. Now, he tried to lessen class tension. He saw the big picture. Maybe some people might say that he had a utopian dream, but nevertheless, it was noble, and some people say ideal. But he wanted that for Jamaica. He wanted what we call equality for everyone. Now I know that his father is not spinning in his grave when he looks at what's going on in the society, and he's also spinning. Please tell us. We want to stop them from spinning up. So please tell us now, based on what you're seeing in the society right now, how what kind of advice, if you could provide advice to this government and the prime minister, to say, listen, here is how you should go about dealing with the classism in Jamaica. And I say that in light of the fact that we have people who look like us who's perpetuating this nonsense. So how would you advise the prime minister and the government to say, look, we're all one, and here's how we should do it. Before you answer the question though, we were talking about DC and Blue. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention this. Blue from tropics and Caribbean Sea. He might listen. Himself will tell you, him say you know him well, because you say near my place. Them are the
Who is
restaurant. So
that? Who is that? Who is
Blue,
that?
Blue from
Oh,
tropics.
Blue.
Yeah, Blue from tropics. Yeah. So that's the question I have. And also, because I know me not gonna get another chance because that why
And
not.
let me tell you, that question
Mhm.
you have to ask. I mean, that question, very good question. But let me see if I can cut it tight. I have to start by saying in 1930, in the 1930s, maybe early 40s, when the party was founded, Norman reminded us that we're on a road that goes into the future forever and ever. And you know how it is with a journey. You're going to take 3 steps forward, and then you may take 2 steps back because we are human beings. So it is a journey. You talk about Michael and what he had to do. That remember, he became leader in 69,
Yeah.
62 was independent. 69 he became leader, which is the same year I met him. And I always say that if you want to understand Michael Manley, make sure you understand Norman Manley.
Mhm.
It's a very close relationship. They talk politics from he was at LSE, which is the university he went to. As a matter of fact, I was going to say something that maybe I shouldn't say it. But they talked to each other when he was away at college. They shared thing with each other. It wasn't advice, it was conversations, right? Because I stay away from the word advice, who am I? But the left wing, because of what Michael was pronouncing as democratic socialism, it was easy for the left to come back into the party. And I remember Norman Manley, who used to have these almost nightly discussions with the then governor, Sir Arthur Richards. They would meet in the evening and have a scotch, and Sir Arthur Richards couldn't understand where this man came from. If you look at, in doing some of my research, I went to London and went to the archives there and saw some of the stuff, the writing that the governor would send to his person over there who was in charge of him. I forget what you called him at the time. And say, I've met this man and I don't understand him. How can he be so bright? Is it because he's mixed? he was just, he couldn't believe that you could have somebody of the nature of a Norman man. And he would say to Norman, why don't you get rid of the left wing? Because in those days, they had a very pronounced left wing in the party. One or two of them may even have been communists. And Norman said, and when I get rid of them, who does the work? Because that is where the people who did the most work were from the left. It happened again later on. In the 70s, the people who did the work was the left wing. So Norman said to him, I can't get rid of them. And I want you to listen to this. He says, when the left is not in the party, what you have remaining, and this is what I want you to hear, is the sleepy center. The sleepy center.
But he also said the left is the foil for the sleepy center.
Well, I didn't see that one. But you have obviously done some research. But this is what I'm saying. What is left after you take them out is a sleepy center. We have seen the PNP with a sleepy center on more than one occasion. I won't say when, but the point I'm making is he was glad to be able to, he always, by the way, that 1952, when Norman led the group that got rid of the left, Norman was in that group. His father never forgot it. He always regretted it. And I think he died of a broken heart because of it. And Michael vowed that he would never preside over that thing with the left, never expel the left from the party, never be part of it. And no matter what the left wing did, and sometimes they really gave him a hard time, he never occurred to him, as powerful as Michael was in the party, that group should be on the outside of the party. That's all I was saying. But just want to congratulate you on the research you have done.
Thank you.
and wish more people would do research.
Beverly, I know you have to go. Jeffrey, I have to go. But listen, one question, because our friend of mine, Tigo from Firehouse.
Jeffrey, I'm sorry.
Listen, one quick question.
I
Yeah.
don't mind,
No,
hold on for Mr. Rattigan. I don't mind,
Beverly,
I don't know if you can stay, Mrs. Manley. I don't mind.
no, I'm gonna ask you, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts about Bob Marley trying
Yes.
to bring both parties together to unite Jamaica? What are your thoughts about that event?
I think it was a noble move. I think, but it's a kind of, every now and then in politics, you have to have like a symbolic thing. For me, it was a great symbolic move because neither of those two leaders wanted to shake hands. I can speak for Michael Manley because after what he had suffered under the JLP and Edward Seac, he didn't want to shake. When he had a message for Eddie, he would do it through Cheryl. That's how bad it was.
Hold on
Because
for
he
me,
and
Mrs.
Cheryl.
Manley. Mrs. Manley,
Huh?
hold on for me, please. Can you dress back a little bit because the head is cut off?
I'm
Yes.
pressing forward. Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes. So I saw it. Every now and then you need to have a big symbolic thing, I feel, in politics that people can say, wow, but you're not really expecting anything to come out of it. If it was done now, I wouldn't expect anything to come out of it. Because the two tribes, at the grassroots level, really don't like each other. I'd go further and say they dislike each other.
I
So my
remember.
answer to that was that would take several conversations, Jeffrey. Several conversations.
Yeah.
And I don't think we're going so far, not too far, until we can deal with that particular issue. That PNP and GLP have to realize that we have to come together. We have to come together. And that we can win an election even if we come together. It's going to be a
Mrs. Manley.
long time.
Yes, Mrs. Manley. I remember at one point when they were putting the new denomination together. I think you said they should have never put Michael and Edward Seaga on one bill.
No, not yet.
Because
not yet.
There really
Because
wasn't.
We're fooling ourselves. It looked nice. What has it done? So we did it. What has it done? I was very clear that I didn't think Michael would agree to it, and I certainly, it made me nauseous. That's the word I used. Because we are not, you can't do something before the time come. And guess what? Next year, this time come. I couldn't resist that.
Yeah, but before you go, Mrs. Manley, I am a product of the PNP party school. I was a student as well as a teacher there with Sonia Gonzalez, and yes, Judith Weatherburn was the director, and it was funded by FES. And that is one of the things,
I must tell Judy
how is Judith?
On. She's good. She's okay.
Yes, Judith Weatherburn. Tony Boggs was also a part of it as well. Love Tony Boggs.
He's at Brown University in the States.
Yes,
but he just did a big thing. Got the university to agree to put on a series of symposia last week.
Yes. So I know. So, and it was important for anyone wanting to be a leader or offer themselves up for leadership in the party to go through party school. No member of parliament, no one became a council member of parliament without first learning the principles and objectives of the People's National Party. That was a must. And not being able to do that anymore, I can understand why there's the center is sleeping, because there's not that, they don't understand the power of what's in the principles and objectives of the party and what the party is really about. But another thing before you go, I have to ask, how is the great leader, Portia Simpson Miller?
I really don't know, because I think it's my understanding is that's a kind of dementia. And she, you can't see her. Let me put it that way. There's a certain group of people that may see her, but she just, how that is when you have dementia or some kind of thing. She's been very well taken care of, but we never see her. It's so sad, really sad. But that's how it is. Thanks for asking. Give me a name again because I have to tell Judy. What's your name again?
Yeah, I'll give it. Jeffrey will text it to you. Yeah, but Judy and Madge Hamilton, yeah.
I talk to her almost every day. FES no longer exists, but she's still there.
No, I know that's so sad because a lot of the funding came through FES for part of school. It was a great organization, and I was there also when the women's movement had Minna Wilmot.
Yes,
and Janet Parkinson. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
A lot of people.
It was a beautiful thing.
A lot of people have made their transition. Jeffrey, I just want to say something before I go. That Michael Manley was a man who lived life fully. Let me tell you what I mean by that. So he loved music, but it was classical music, reggae music, whatever it was. But anything he did, he put his entire soul into it. I've never seen anybody like that. Anything, When he was in the trade union movement, same thing. And if you couldn't partner with him in the kind of way where you could go into anything that was happening, anything he was doing, he was very clear what he was about: social justice, equality, and social justice, just like his father. And so he did everything possible, made every sacrifice to be able to reach that goal. And if he were alive today, at this time of his centennial, and he was talking to us, he would remind us that at this stage of the struggle, people, grassroots people, becoming more aware of themselves, would have to get involved in serious participation. Serious participation. Genuine participation, where their voices can be in the room. If end of day was coming to fix a road in their constituency, they would have to meet with them first and say, we're going to fix this section of the road. What do you think? Because you're the people who live next to the problem. And it's increasingly difficult for those of us who have the power to make that possible. To make it possible, I don't know why. I remember the first time I heard about something called what? Curb and channel. You know that word?
I heard about it.
That? Yeah. And it's where on the road, if you're fixing the road, it have to be slanted a certain way that the water could run up.
Exactly.
And they tried to make the construction workers or whatever understand, the people in the village, that they have to have the curb and channel. And of course, nobody was listening to them because who are they? Again, go back to where I started. Respect. Respect. And this is why I think you're seeing just so much of people in Jamaica with crime. People can't talk to each other. People are angry because they're waiting for something to trickle down. And it's not going to trickle down. Give the people a chance to say what they want to say and just to feel that they're a part of this journey that is going to make Jamaica the wonderful place that Jamaica already is. Just let us be who we are.
Yeah.
Just let us be who we are.
Beverley, I'm lucky. I'm lucky I get a chance to ask you.
You get the last word, you're lucky.
We're lucky, man. We're lucky. No, listen. I want to ask you a question about something that we haven't spoken about, but something that's very near and dear to you. And that is this. You have mentioned that Jamaica and indeed the world cannot move forward unless we deal with gender relations. I'd like you to just expound on that. And then the second thing is, if you have the time and you're willing to do so, talk to us about Jamaica's role in the Federation. whether it was
Mm,
the correct thing to do or not.
yeah.
If you have the time.
I wasn't, that wasn't my era. That
Okay.
was just Michael's era. He was in the West Indies Federation. The group of them in London at the time who really, again, I don't know, but because I wasn't there, but I can tell you that again, I come back to the thing of respect. I understand that Jamaica really felt, as if we were a little, a little above the rest. I don't know if it's true, or here. That would kind of enough. And I know the enoughness continues. So I don't know how that would lend itself to having the kind of conversations that we needed to have. Because Jamaica felt that, we were not going to go into anything where we were not on top. And, that was hard to, but leave me another time. I don't have the facts and I don't want to speculate further.
We talk about
What
gender.
exactly?
You
Gender,
said gender.
gender relations. You can't look at, all right. Let me put it really simple because I want people to get it. So you have man, you have woman. The women are supposed to look after the babies. And because we biologically, we are the ones who do that. The social construct, because a made up thing around us is that, we must do the cooking, we must do the da. And then the man now is the head of the household who does A, B, and C. We are saying that both women and men can do the same things. I know a professor who, when his marriage broke up and he got the 2 young children, and I stayed in the house at the time with him at the university overseas. I've never seen a man look after children like that. No woman could outdo him. It's a different time now, In my time, we didn't have these conversations. In 2024, these are the conversations we're having. That men should be allowed to be who they want to be, and women should be allowed to be who they want to be. When I visit Natasha in London, she always finds a group of her friends. And what are they talking about? How the man has chosen to be a stay-home person. And the woman decides she wants to go out and earn a living. Why not? And then it gets very complicated when you get into policy. Because let me give you an example. Suppose you have a program in rural Jamaica. And one of the things you report on the program is that the women don't turn up, only men turn up. It's a gender issue because maybe in putting the time for that program, say 6 o'clock, nobody took into account that is when the woman is probably preparing the meal or whatever it is she does. So she can't come. The man don't have an issue. He just come. You get what I say?
Mm-hmm.
Hello?
Yeah.
You don't like that?
Yes, it's
But to put it simply, that's what it is.
yeah.
Now you are having couples who are just doing what they want to do and they work it out between them. And the whole thing about violence against women, with men killing women and that kind of thing, is because we don't have this gender construct in the society where we can have these conversations. Because if a man reaches home and a woman is on the phone, she can still be killed for that. Because in his mind, it's a speculation. And as opposite thing happens with the woman, the man comes home and acts. She knows he's with another woman. Maybe he's not. And they can't have the conversation. Where I was fortunate in the marriage, since we are talking about Michael Manley, is that thing he told me about never going to bed until we sorted it out. Whatever it was. Because the woman was singing from one point of view and the man was singing from another point of view. But we could talk about it. We could talk it through. Respecting each other. Jeffrey, you have to save me.
Yes, I'm gonna save you, but I want you to tell us about Michael Manley Centennial for tomorrow. Tomorrow is his
Oh, what
birthday.
a busy day. What a busy day. I'm glad you asked. Tomorrow morning, um, we start with the wreath laying. Right after the wreath laying, and I only discovered that just before I came to talk to you. The wreath laying, and then after the wreath laying at 10 o'clock, the Andre, come and help me. At 10 o'clock, we did the NW has a function at their headquarters. And I understand that something else is happening at 10 o'clock, which we just found out about like this afternoon. So I'm not even sure what that is. Then we have the Barbadian Prime Minister, the Honorable Manley, who will be giving a lecture at the Little Theatre at 4 o'clock. And Comrade PJ Patterson told me today that he's going to lead off by doing a presentation that shows how much she is like the forerunner for Michael Manley, which if you listen to her, you know, right?
Yeah.
And then that would end by about 6 o'clock. And by 7 o'clock, we're at the Pegasus for the dinner. So it's a busy day for me tomorrow because I want to go to everything.
Yes, yes, yes. Do you know if it will be live that we can end up seeing it? I can broadcast on my channel. You have
We've
any
been
idea?
trying to find out that, somebody asked that today, I will see. I'm not sure. I hope so.
Yes,
In 2024, it would have to be so.
yes,
Because so many people would like to go to so many things. And, I remember Madam Waits just to start, because it's the start of his year, the year
yes.
he was born. So I'm
Mhm.
sure there will be other stuff. For example, I have a presentation I'm doing in Florida on
Mhm.
the 10th of January.
Maybe I need to come to that one to see you. Because I'm in Florida.
You live in Florida.
Yes,
You know Jeffery Tavares?
yes,
That's who is, that's you.
yes, that's me.
There's another, all right, I'll get his name to you and number so you can give you the details. I
Okay,
haven't seen a flyer yet,
okay.
but we need to have a flyer so we can make sure some people come to hear the talk.
Right, right. I want to tell you thanks for coming onto the program. It's a pleasure having you on. And I would love to have you on again because there's so many things we need to ask you. Because you have a wealth of knowledge that we need to
Mm.
hear from you. Because right now people are in a sense belittling Michael Manley's party and talking about, you know, for them leader ban and this a leader ban and all kind of stupidness. You
How
know,
is that helping? How is that helping us?
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But something, as a Christian, a real Christian now, not a church Christian,
Yes.
but as somebody who I've become very spiritual, and so I live in a world of forgiveness.
Yes.
So let them talk. As Bob says, so many things to say right now. So
Indeed.
many things to say,
Indeed.
and conversations are powerful.
Mhm.
And instead of listening to those people, let's see what we can do. Like your program is very important because you can reach, I don't know how many people you reach. You have an idea?
Yes. Well, this channel, the viewership is over 3.5 million, I think.
Now,
Yeah.
which room you could get into and have that conversation? You're doing it now.
Thank you.
I wanted to do what you're doing for about 10 years. After I left the Breakfast Club, I still haven't done it.
Yes.
But
You said,
important thing is,
mm,
it's being done.
yes, yes, yes. And not only
And
me,
not
not
I
only
hope I
me,
can meet you. I hope I can meet you when I'm in Florida.
yes, you will, ma'am. And not only me who does a program like this. Wilfred Rattigan does a program named Reese with
That's what
Rattigan.
I'm saying. Yeah.
Yes.
Many people, man, doing
Yes,
it in
indeed.
a different way. Your style is a more conversational way. I like that. And you
Yes.
bring in two other people.
Yes. Yes.
And
Thank you.
two very interesting people. I really enjoy talking
Yeah.
to them. We could go all day, but I'm gonna leave you. Get myself organized for tomorrow.
Yes, ma'am. I want to say
Yes,
thank
sir.
you for coming on. Thank you so much. And what do you want to say to your Jamaican people before you go and let you go?
I just want to say it's a journey. So no matter how, how sometimes it looks really, even to me, sometimes it really looks dark. But shut on.
Yes.
What the time called for now is resilience. Even if it's not looking the way we want it to do, just be resilient. Hang in there. Hang in there. Hang in there. It's a journey that's going on today. But now I'm going to say the struggle is going to go on forever and ever.
Yes. I hope the next
So
have. I hope.
don't give up. Don't give up, because we have generations yet unborn who are depending on us.
Indeed.
Who are depending on us. So even if you don't see it right now, what to do right now, remember we have a job to do, so that generations yet unborn can have some shoulders to stand up.
I think the next time we talk, we're gonna speak about Jamal. That's Michael Manley's baby. We're gonna speak about
That was something else. Yes.
I want to say thanks to former First Lady of Jamaica, Beverley Manley Duncan, Beverley Anderson-Manley Duncan, Dr. Beverley Manley.
I tell
Duncan.
people that you may have to add another name after Duncan. That's a joke. That's a joke. You got it? She got it.
Yes, I know. Because
Michael went 5 times. Why can't I? And I want to thank Andre Hilton for not only introducing me to you, Jeff, to this program, but to be here with me. I really appreciate it.
Yes, indeed.
You can't struggle without a friend, that you have to have somebody who, when they say, Lord, I can't go anymore, say, no, man, you can go. I really want to thank you.
Yes.
Andre,
and also, before you go, Mrs. Manley, I have to say thank you for breaking down the doors that you did. Thank you for breaking the barriers and removing the ceilings so that I can walk through that door. So on your shoulders do I stand to be the person that I am today. So I am wearing my crown well because you did it for me. And I hope to do it for somebody else. So thank you so much.
You live in Jamaica? Huh?
No, I'm in New York. I'm in New York. So when it comes to New York, we can hook up, okay?
Yeah. And I'm sure I'll come before the end of the year.
Before you go, Jeffrey, although I'm not a part of the program.
I never told him you could come on,
But let's crash the program, man. Crash the program. But I've been on most of your program, Rattigan, yourself, and so on. But I think this is why I really went out of my way, came in from Hanover today, just to be here to make sure Bev was on this program, because I think I often tell her she's a blessing to Michael Manley's legacy, because she's still here, she lived it, she's a part of that. And I believe especially our young people needs to understand where we're coming from and the kind of changes Michael Manley were able to achieve. So I believe it was most important that Bev come on your program and to share with you and your viewers. So it was my pleasure. Continue doing your good work.
And my pleasure.
My pleasure. Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much, Mr. Hilton.
Blessings.
Miss Bev, or Auntie Bev, as we're going to call her, because I don't like to say Bev.
Sister Bev. Ask Andre how you must pronounce it.
No, I just call her Sister Beverly.
But the PNP members, masses, call me Stabev. Stabev.
Okay.
By the way, I'm still working. You hear? I'm still working.
You are?
I'm back on the campaign trail.
Yes, indeed. Because
time has to come, man. We have to do this thing.
Yes, indeed. Mr. Rattigan, 2 minutes and Miss Bev go.
No, I think I've taken up enough of her time. I'd love to see her on my program. I know Andrea the link, So me know so me not have nothing to worry about because
Nothing.
Stabev soon come on reason with
So
Rattigan.
he got it. Keep up the research. Keep up the research.
again,
All
I
right.
just thank you for the inspiration and we have so
Oh,
much to
thank
talk about
you.
and we'll get together in the future.
Yeah, man. Thank you all very much.
Thank
Bye.
Bye.
Take
Thank you
care.
so much, Lady
Bye.
Beverley Manley, for coming on. Have a great night.
You too. Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye. A very outstanding lady, one of Jamaica's finest of all time. Mr. Rattigan and Marie, your take on this conversation we had earlier on Beverley Manley.
I think it was very insightful, very revealing because Michael is not around. Former Prime Minister, I should say, Mr. Michael Manley, he's not around to speak for himself. And so, and with who better to speak for him than somebody, a partner that he's been with for so many years. I think they were married for like 11 years, I think, but they've been together for much longer than that, of course. So it was nice to kind of get a perspective of the man through the lady. And I just hope and pray that she will continue living the legacy of and charting her own course as well. Continue to chart her own course because I'm particularly interested in the gender relations initiative that she's working on. And so I look forward to seeing her on my program soon. We have so much to talk about. We can talk about the present crop of candidates. We can talk about, and I know Sis want to talk to her about the activity of the YO. I know, so she want to talk to her about that.
we wanted to talk about 2 hours with her, but she said no because tomorrow is the centenary of Michael Manley, and she's very active in that. So maybe we can get her, as I said on your program, Rattigan, we can speak some more to her.
Yeah, sure, no problem. And like we said, Andrea the link, and Andrea, we
Yes.
get along with Andrea. Andrea, fine, not a problem. So,
Marie,
thank you for having me on.
you're gonna leave now?
Hold on. I have a meeting that's starting in 1 minute.
In 1 minute, okay. I'll let you go, but Marie and I will stay over here and keep on chit chatting and keeping the people company.
All right then.
We want to say thanks.
Sis, speak up yourself.
Yes, my brother. We shall speak.
Indeed.
Yeah, man.
Jeffrey,
Cool.
and the audience, the people in the chat and the people in what your viewing audience, listening audience, wanna big up on yourself, right? That's the thing there. And I saw it said. And if people say, oh, what could go so? It just goes so. No, just see it for yourself. The lady came on and she delivered. So there you go. Educate and enlighten all of us. Talk to you soon, Jeffrey. Sis, big up yourself.
Yeah, man. All right. Thanks much. Wilfred Rattigan, Rizzy Rattigan. And we're gonna dig deeper in some stuff now. We have with us, staying with us is Marie, a woman who I met her in New York, and believe you me, what you see is what you get. Plain and straightforward. She doesn't sugarcoat anything. What you see is what you get. And I must say this publicly, and behind her back I'm saying it. Marie, I lift my hat to you. I have the utmost respect for you. Because not many of us will stand up and speak out for this country. Not many of us. And you have. And I really see the passion in you when you speak for our country, Jamaica. And for us to have Beverley Manley on a while ago. What an awesome lady she is. Marie?
Yeah, thank you for that, Jeffrey. And I appreciate you, and I really commend you on the work that you have been doing and will continue to do on behalf of, elevating the voices of the Jamaican people. Because at the end of the day, when one person is better, we're all better for it, But I'm thinking of, I like to say God on time, and this program is vindication for me for last week, because I remember a certain speaker saying some things that were patently false. And here we have this week someone who ventilated some of those issues. And yes, education was free in Jamaica. There was a time when there was an investment in education from early childhood to tertiary. It's not a figment of anybody's imagination. Those are the facts. So we cannot beat down our country and beat down political parties without looking at both of them, honestly, and making honest assessments. You can disagree, we can all agree to disagree, but where they have done right, there's nothing wrong with saying, yes, that they did that, it was right, and it worked. And like Mrs. Manley said earlier, if they did not mess with Jamaica at the time, just imagine what would have happened. Because now they're saying, eat what you grow. Yeah, that was being said from the 1970s.
Yes, 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 yes.
There were people are being taught to value themselves, self-reliance, see yourself as being worthy. And here we are, where young people can be on TikTok, doing all kinds of unkind things to each other because, like she said, we don't respect ourselves enough. So if you don't respect yourself, you cannot respect somebody else. And so many people have paved the way for young people to be better. Why can't we just take the baton and run with it and make the spaces that we are in better, leave it better than we found it? And we have the opportunity to do that. Yes.
And when I remember hearing my foster parents telling me this, that Beverley Manley was the one who told Michael Manley in 1973 about free education. And some people will not believe that happened. She even went on to say, because I said this on a platform, that when Michael Manley said free education, the then Minister of Finance, David Quo, was scratching his head and said, where we don't get the money from? People tell me, say, lie me, I tell. So Mrs. Beverley Manley came and that he was scratching his head indeed.
And also, there was pushback from the elites because they did not want to see the poor man's child sitting in the same university as their child.
Thank you.
So they railed against it for no reason. So, and like she said, the CIA said they don't go into a country where they were not invited. Who invited them? You know what I'm saying? That's a rhetorical question, but we know that. We know how that played out. And so we are now reaping the seeds, the fruits of those seeds that were sown then. So the pushback came where how can you talk about free education? And what Michael Manley saw was that education was the key out of poverty, out of their circumstances. The farmer could afford now to send his child to university, to college. Anybody in the city that they know that the child can go through the institutions, become a teacher, a lawyer, doctor, whatever this is, become a craftsperson, become an entrepreneur, because the infrastructure was put in place to facilitate that. When we see young people now running around, with no place to go, they're doing so because there's nothing in place where they can channel their energy.
Yes.
And I keep asking, where are the social programs for them? Where are the institutions? Where are the skills training centers and the vocational training centers? Heart should be expanded into the community centers, because community centers were a vital part of the country's development. So young people, their energy could be channeled in those areas. So we don't see that. And we see everything. Everybody run amok. The whole country is run amok now because people are just doing policies by the seat of their pants, and there's no forward planning. Michael Manley was a forward planner, and on the eve of his 100th birthday, those of us who benefited from free education, free uniform, free hot lunches, free food when school was this and at the end of summer, free health care, because remember now the community health nurse used to come into the schools, and we got our vaccination, and you had to come with a vaccination card because you had to be fully immunized. And all that's why we didn't have a mumps and a measles outbreak during in Jamaica, because what? All these things were in place. You could go to the dental clinic, you had the mobile dental unit. We had the mobile library truck. So all those things were in place. Jamal, where adults learned to read and write, and adults,
Yes.
after doing that now, were able to go to the evening classes and become nurses and become teachers and become lawyers and pull and go through the system. So it's not only about pulling themselves up by the bootstraps. They were given boots with laces. So they were assisted. So you cannot say to somebody, do something without teaching them how to fish. No one wants a fish. They all want to learn how to fish. And people were taught how to fish. Jamal was one of those programs that taught them how to fish for themselves. And in doing so, they elevated their communities. Jamal was not for young people, it was for the adults. The Jamaica Association for the,
Disability learner.
advancement. Jamaica, I forget it now, but it's for the advancement of literacy, adult, or whatever. But it was for adults, right?
Right.
And my mother was a Jamal school teacher, and so many adults came through. People in the community came through the system. And I'm looking at the black and white books right now. My name is Pam. The simple things that people take for granted. I am tall. I am a boy. I am a girl. Basic things. But what that did was it gave them a sense of pride in themselves, because now they can read and write. Nobody can talk down to them. They can now go to the cooperative bank and open an account.
Yes.
Because then not everybody could go down to Maple and to Chapelton Square and go to the big bank, the Nova Scotia and the National Commercial Bank. The cooperative bank was a community bank, and you could also open an account at the post office.
Indeed. You remember those days, Marie?
Yes.
I
Yes.
remember my godmother was the one who first opened an account for me at the post office in Negril.
And you also had savings in school, where
Yes.
you bring in your savings, and they give you they give you your bank book, and every time you put something in, they put how much, and they put the date when you put it in. So children were learning life skills from a very young age. And so we have to celebrate the man that was Michael Manley, and the vision that he had for a people. It was not about enriching himself, how much he could get.
No.
It was about how much he could give, how much he could be of service. And he served the people well. And before you come in here, Jeffrey, Mia Motley being a speaker tomorrow is,
awesome.
Serious homage to that, because she embodies Michael Manley. She's not aligned. She's not aligned.
And she has the charismatic thing as the Michael Manley, because she'll write her speech. Sometimes she goes to the UN with her speech on her phone, and she only glances at it maybe 2 or 3 times, and she's just there talking. She reminds me of a Michael Manley, just like a Barack Obama. Remind me of a Michael Manley. The charisma of the man, And I want to say this to everyone on the platform here, that Jamaica has come a far way. When I say a far way in which, in one of Michael Manley's speech, he said, if you can, go down to the common man, walk with the man, talk to the man, eat with the man. I don't own no flashy car. I don't own no flashy clothes. But nowadays, you're in your Pradas and your Range Rovers and your Bentleys, and the people of the country can't see you to speak to you. They call on your phone. You tell them some pinks and Pablos and how much string got to make them up. But every 5 years, you're there begging for the vote, and they can't see you to speak to you. What can go so in 2024 Jamaica? Marie?
Yeah, and like Joycelyn Williams in the chat said, babies used to go to creche. That
Yes.
is what we had. The babies used to go to creche before
Mm-hmm.
they went to basic infant school, not even basic school, infant school. Then became basic school because I went to Aunt Mim infant school. Okay, so you went to the creche, infant school, then you go to primary school, and then you all the way through the system. And
Mm-hmm.
like she said, you could send the baby to creche because those women now had to go and get training to teach Jamal. Because very good point Joycelyn made. You didn't just come up and be a Jamal teacher. No, you had to get training. And they
Indeed.
provided you with the books. And as a matter of fact, you got a manual as the teacher to on how to carry out your work to make sure it was what you're doing was effective. And it was. And it
Yes.
was.
Yes.
So we had more people who, and at that time, that's why more people were active politically and otherwise because they could read.
Yes.
And when we look now, the young people are not as active, and because they can't read, they cannot communicate. They
Hmm.
cannot communicate. The only way they know to communicate is through violence. That wasn't the thing. People used to talk things out, hash things out, or if but the systems that were in place to help to elevate the people, a lot of that has been lost. And the politicians, those who want to offer themselves up for representation, they really need to go back to the basics. And the basic is respect for the persons who you want to represent, and the people are acting out, and that's why they can fight over $5,000. Jeffrey,
Oh, yes.
because
Because
the members of parliament don't value them more than $5,000. So when they get that $5,000, they're not seeing the MP. So, boy, the MP a letter for $5,000. Why not? And they will
true.
fight their brother and sister for $5,000. And I echo what Mrs. Manley said. Mrs. Manley Duncan said about the die-heartedness has to go.
Hmm. I'm happy
It's
she talked
about
about
one country, Jamaica. It's about the
yes.
people. It's not about green and orange. We have to elevate ourselves out of that. And that is why I say platforms like yours and Rattigan and Lonesome and Mystic Sensation and all of those, Andre Stevens, help to are about telling the people to educate, edify, empower yourselves out of your circumstances by listening to what we're saying. And those who can read, read it and talk amongst yourselves. Talk to your peers about it, about
Mhm.
the issues. Be an issues voter, be a policy voter, not a voter for life, or in light skin and soft hair, or in handsome or she prettier. They have to move away from, because that is not working for you. When you have a member of parliament come and say he wants 5 more years to make sure his children and his grandchildren are okay, you should be out in the streets protesting to have him removed immediately as your
Indeed.
member of parliament. When they say they're doing constitutional reform and they don't come into your community to speak out, you should be out there and saying, no, 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 they cannot reform something that I know nothing about, because this is going to benefit me, and this is going to affect us for generations to come. So these platforms serve a purpose of edifying the Jamaican people in the local space, to make them understand that if somebody tells you that all your worth is $5,000 on a box of food, then you should say to that person, kick rocks.
Yes. Yes.
I need schools. Don't give me $5,000. Give me schools, fix the hospitals,
Yes.
fix the roads.
I want
And like she talk about curve and channel, the people with the skill sets know.
you know,
And I
you know,
remember now looking at the road and see the road, you always have that slippery part. And when the
yes,
rain fall, you see the road, yeah, it curves
yes,
up and the road
exactly.
run, and you see the part of the road where the water run underneath there.
Yes.
They really didn't have any flooding like we're having flooding now.
It reminds me of when my grandfather, may God bless his soul, Noel Tavares, was involved in the parish council and public works. And when they're building roads from Negril to Savlamar, you have the mall. You mall the road and you put the crushed stone on the road. Then you mall, you roll it again. You put some mall on it, you wet it and you roll it again. You put some more stone again, you put some mall again, and you do the same thing. Nowadays, it's so asphalt and so some mall. Some of them, because they own quarry in St. Thomas, and because they own big position in politics, your quarry is not approved by Bureau of Standard, but the government buy the mall from you to build the St. Thomas like a road, so the road is sinking because it's bad mall they have. So what's going on in the country? We're going to show you something now about the celebration for Michael Manley tomorrow. There you have it. Big celebration for Michael Manley tomorrow. You have they're gonna start off with at the National Hero Circle at 9 o'clock. Then at 10:30, National Workers Union. You know, Michael Manley was a part of the National Workers Union, NWU, where Granville Valentine is the president or chairman, I think. Then you know have Michael Manley lecture with guest speaker, Prime Minister of Barbados, Mayor Amoy Motley at the Little Theatre. And then you know have the grand finale at 7 o'clock, 7 p.m. The dinner at the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel. I pray and hope, I just got an information a while ago that they will be broadcasting it live. Let me not speak to the people about it, because the Make We Talk program will be bringing it to you live. The Michael Manley celebration, Michael Manley centennial celebration. He's 100 years old. Is not so, Marie?
Yes, he will be at 100 tomorrow. He was born December 10, 1924. Yes.
Yes. You see, I think that is why I love the man that much, because he was born the 9th of December. That's today. And he was born tomorrow.
Oh, you're okay. So today's your birthday. Happy birthday, Jeffrey.
Yes, as soon as I finish, I'm going to have a drink of some, one of those.
Yeah, man, you got to be the spirit sometimes, especially in these times, my brother. Hallelujah. So that should have been a Honda.
I want my good friend Luke George putting off chop some tongues.
Exactly. Oh, my brother, I tell you.
Yes.
Yeah, but yes. It was a beautiful thing. Yeah,
yes.
It's a beautiful thing, and I'm glad to have been in this space. And again, I say it's vindication. God
Indeed.
don't come, but God sends.
Yes, indeed. A woman who was laying on her bed at Jamaica House, and her husband came up to her and said, Beverley, I don't know what to do. What should I give the people? I don't know what to do. And she turned and said to him, Michael, free education.
Yeah.
He went back downstairs and he spoke, and then she said it, that they were upset with him because there's no way they can fund it. At the time, David Core was the Minister of Finance. And David was with drying out, he looked cool here. I said, what the hell is this man talking about? Until now, majority of Jamaicans, because of Michael Manley free education, some have become lawyers, doctors, barristers.
Many, but stick up in there, Jeffrey. A lot of who are criticizing and pushing back and tearing down benefited from that free education. But had it not been for that free education, their parents could not have afforded to send them to college, university. So they are product of that.
Indeed.
Some will admit it, like a Canute Thompson, Professor Canute Thompson will admit that, yeah, I am a product of that. So when people were beating up on him and saying, no, you don't do that. Because had it not been, then there would not be, So we have to pay homage to the man. And it's somebody that I've met with, I mean, like I said, I was in the part of school and all of that. So, and he was a delightful human being, one of the nicest persons you could ever come across, have a conversation with. And he was fine as a what. Child. Yeah, that man will make you speaking. Yep, he will make you speak in tongues. That man, you would sit looking at him and you go, I will push you in a wheelchair any day and mop your brow. Yeah, that man was fine. Child.
I want to say thanks to Ian for that super chat, $10. Thank you so much. For those who can give is a super chat. They can hit the super chat and help us out here on the Make We Talk program. Marie, thank you for coming on.
I
Thank
appreciate it. I appreciate it because earlier I said to Jurassic, I'm like, Rattigan, I'm not going on the show tonight, you know. And he was like, nah, man, come on, man. So our sister, our sister, she was
yes.
like, oh, guess what? Jeffrey just promoted you on the show, honey. I'm like, okay, I shall be there.
Yes.
Yeah, but I'm happy to have been in the space with someone like her and to give her her flowers
Yes.
when she can appreciate it. Because too often we wait until and we say posthumously. We don't have to do that. Give them the opportunity to come into spaces where we can say, because of you, I am. You
Yes.
know, and it was a blessing. It was a
Oh,
blessing
we
indeed.
have a call coming. Hold on. Good night, caller. Welcome to the program.
Yeah, good night, Jeffrey. Good night, Maria. Good program. Uh,
Yes.
Good night, caller. Good
yeah,
night.
man. Good night. Good night.
Yes. Go
Good
ahead.
night, man. Yeah, man. Big program. Big program. University program. University.
Thank
Yeah. Boy, I may tell you, it just bring me back when I go to school. My name is Roy. My name is Pam. See my name here. Remember all those good times, man. Oh, God of grace, man. Jeffrey, you have done a marvelous work. And my brother, I tell you, happy birthday. And may God continue to bless you, keep you, inspire you. Love you, Jeffrey.
Thank
And
you.
as I always say, behind a great man, there's a great woman. Big up to Mrs. Tavares.
Indeed.
Big up
Indeed.
to your family. And Lady Maria, you so exceptional. You just drive the nail pan it. Everything, I want people to say, everything where you always talk. You see, say, come to Trisha. You see, as Isaac said, God and time.
God and time and God, yeah,
Last
man.
week,
God don't come, but God send. You know.
last week when you have to run go bathroom with Mr. Williams, and everything in my debunk, and when you draping, when you grabbing, you see, say, come out, then. May I tell you, man, Jeffrey, may I tell you, for the betterment of this, for the betterment of this, last week was something else, brother. Last week,
Mm-hmm.
we say, I'm there work. I have to play over back it's for to get a laugh. Now, when I work and
But
somebody
hello,
cross the
Miss P.
street, I mean, just,
Miss P.
eh?
You think
Yeah.
Rattigan no easy, you know?
No, man.
No, no, man. Rattigan is fierce.
Tell you, bro,
Mm-mm.
you know. Let
That's
me
a
tell you, bro,
sleeping giant. Don't wake him.
and then you see, he's sit on that chair, and you see he start rubbing his chin, and I listen keenly. When him bowl the ball, you know, you better can't bat, guy, but come with a yak, huh? So, you know, say, make the stump and lick out. Anytime you see him and listening, anybody up on the program and him listen, and he start to play with him chin. Remember, he might come with a yak, huh? You better can't bat. But anyway, gentleman and lady, I tell you,
Yeah, man. Yeah,
I
and the thing is, anytime you hear Rattigan come and say, he's listening to he having a conversation, and he comes and he say, okay, then, so he's coming with some questions that is gonna blow somebody's mind or catch them off guard, and yeah, so it's good to be in a space with Rattigan. God bless him. Yes.
Rattigan really FBI can give up to kill yourself, you know. And
True.
you talk and you listen. And when you see
Mhm.
chipping, you know, you must say, no, you see so, and that you say, you know. So
Mhm.
evidence.
Mhm.
That is right, man. I tell you, we learn a lot. I tell you. But last week, you know, how much, member you have in the party? Just two. Then,
but Carla, but here's the thing now. He wants to he's not going to contest the next election. And he has all these ideas.
no,
And how are you going to you're a third party, you want a third party to take over, get rid of the JLP and get rid of the PNP. But you don't have a slate of candidates. So who is going to run the country? The man is as mad as they come. You know?
Sir. Eh?
Thank you for calling.
Everybody, eh? Okay. Yeah, man.
Thank you
Big
so
up.
much. All right.
You know?
For those
And may
who
I say something here, Jeffrey, about people that could talk about 18 years and 18 years.
Mm.
I mean, if that is 18 years, how long ago was that? How long ago PJ Patterson left office? And here's the thing. Um,
continue talking, it's
Somebody
gonna
said that why didn't PJ Patterson continue free education after that? It wasn't possible because he, like somebody said, the damage was already done. He had to just continue on a course and do his best to do some sort of course correction. But it was um, things had gone really bad by then. But in spite of it, he did a lot of wonderful things for the Jamaican people, which the current administration, being led by Andrew Holness, is using right now. So we have to give to Caesar what is due to Caesar. Yes, like my sister friend likes to say, hang a dog and give him his character. So a lot of things that are in place have been put in place. And if you subtract all the things that happened in the 18 years, what would you have left? So we have to be careful when we talk about, 18 years, what did he do? Go and look at the legislations, go to the government website, do your research and see what it is that he has done. We don't all have to agree on everything, but where there is need to commend the person for doing their job as a government, then there's stuff there are things that you can commend the government for. I see where Jeffrey is off. I hope he's gonna come back on. But it was a great program. I enjoyed it a lot, and I hope your Monday evening is going well. And I wish for everybody in the chat a really wonderful and blessed week ahead. And I know it's next month is January, and we're a few weeks away from Christmas. I pray that you make the best of the holidays. And remember, every day is Christmas, and every day is a day to give thanks and to celebrate one another. Don't just wait for Thanksgiving and Christmas Day and New Year's Day to celebrate. No, celebrate every day, because indeed every day is a gift. Like today has been a gift because we were blessed to have on Lady Beverley Anderson-Manley Duncan in the space. Yes.
indeed. And I want to say thank you, Marie, for coming on.
I much appreciate it, Bev, and Jeffrey, and I look forward to being on. And we'll chat during the week, one way or the
Yes,
other.
we will.
Thank you for your time, and have a blessed day, and continue the good work.
Same to you. Thank you so much for coming on.
And I'm big up Megawatt Volt. Megawatt Volt is my brother from another mother.
He's in. Yes, there he is. He's inside. Megawatt, how are you doing, man?
Yeah.
Welcome. I must have you on one of these days on my program to the Megawatt. We can sit and chit chat about the issues.
Megawatt and I are supposed to have coffee someplace, somewhere, but we will one day.
Yes, indeed.
We're gonna have coffee or tea.
A cup of coffee and one slice of bread and butter.
We can have some tea and crumpets,
Oh, no problem, my dear.
I know. Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on. Thank you.
Yeah, blessings, my brother. Have a good night.
Same to you. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Yes.
I want to say to all those who came onto the program, I want to say thanks to my good friend, Andre Hilton, for working his entire sources, in a sense, of getting Mrs. Beverley Manley Duncan on to come onto the program. Thank you so much, Andre. Thank you, Mr. Hilton. Thank you so much for coming on and for putting on Miss Beverley Manley Anderson, Beverley Duncan rather, and the program here with us. Thank you so much for coming on. I have learned a lot from this remarkable lady. And all of us should learn a lot. And we come on the program here, as I said before, we come on the program with facts and truth, and we bring people on to speak to us We're going to try and do our best come next week to bring on an exciting guest on our program. On behalf of all of us here, on behalf of myself, my wife who allowed me to come onto the program, I want to say thanks to her. And to all those who come on, to all the subscribers, all my students who continue supporting this channel. Clarendon, how you doing? I want to say thank you all for coming on. Thank you very much for being a part of this program. Thank you very much for supporting the Make We Talk YouTube channel. We're going to try and do our best tomorrow to bring you live coverage of the 100th birthday of former Prime Minister and President of the People's National Party, the Right Honorable, or the most Honorable Michael Norman Manley. Michael Norman Manley. They call him Joshua Manley. I want to say thank you. We're going to try our best to bring that to you live tomorrow. Thank you all very much. We're going to try so we can get somebody out of CARICOM to speak to us about Haiti. We're not hearing anything about the Jamaican soldiers in Haiti. What we're hearing are the soldiers in Kenya. They haven't been paid and majority of them are resigning. What are we hearing about our own sons and daughters who this Prime Minister has sent into arms way into Haiti? What is going on with our own brothers and sisters that is in arms way in Haiti? The people of Haiti is facing a crisis that is unbelievable. Obviously, the Kenyan forces along with the Jamaican forces and other forces still not getting Haiti under control. The gangs are ruling the country same way. And we need to hear some answers from this Prime Minister about our sons and daughters who are in Haiti. As I said before, thank you all for coming on. Thanks to Miss Beverley Manley Duncan for coming on to the program. Thanks to Mr. Andrew Hilton for helping her to come on the program with us. Thanks to Wilfred, Rattigan, and Marie for coming on. To all the producers of this program, thank you very much. For those who continue to support in this program, thank you from the bottom of my heart. I appreciate you all. And remember to like, share, and subscribe. Bring up the subscription to 20,000 now, man. Bring up the subscription to 20,000. Thank you very much for my birthday wishes. And remember to support the channel. You can hit the super chat or you can donate in other ways that you can to keep the channel going. Thank you all very much for being a part of the program. God bless you. God bless Jamaica land we love. See you all tomorrow. Same time, same place. Tomorrow we're gonna have I'm supposed to be having attorney at law on tomorrow. I'm gonna confirm that. There's our attorney at law on tomorrow to speak to us about the report from the court pertaining to the Prime Minister. We're gonna see if we can get that person on tomorrow. I think it's tomorrow evening, I think. It's gonna be the program tomorrow evening. Let me see. Hopefully it's tomorrow evening. I'm gonna speak to the person as soon as I get off here to see what is next in the program for tomorrow. So many things happening in our country is unbelievable. All right. Thank you all for being a part of the program. Thank you very much. 2-vehicle collision involving a Toyota Corolla and a RAV4. Wow. Apparently there's a major accident in Trelawney. There's a major traffic accident in Trelawney involving a Toyota motor car and a RAV4. Yes. Toyota car also. 2 Toyota cars involved in an accident in Trelawney. Well, I don't know what's going on in this country. And I'm being told that junior doctors should return to work from 6 o'clock this evening. And there's going to be some meeting with the Ministry of Labor and Social Security and the Ministry of Finance pertaining to junior doctors in Jamaica. So hopefully we can see more of that at the doctor's return to work. Thank you very much. God bless you. May God bless Jamaica land we love. Have a great night, everyone.
When the game gets rough and this life just seems so tough, make we talk, my people, make we talk. When this town becomes an ugly place, don't let it erase the smile from your face. Make we talk, people, make we talk. Conversation is the key, a guiding light for you and me. Spark a talk and you will see. Conflict solver A to Z. World leaders master the art of self-defense just by talk. So people, make we talk. Hey, we're living in a world that on ourselves we must depend. Make we talk, people.
Unity is strength. Make we reason. Make we talk. If we see corruption in any shape or form, we're going to highlight it. Make we talk. Jeffery Tavares represents yard and broad and the entire diaspora. As long as it affects the life of our nation, uncover the truth. Make we reason. Make we talk. And we don't care about no vumva viva va. No upper echelon. Nobody is not above the law. As long as it not help Jamaica, make we talk. Make we talk. Unity is strength. Make we reason. Make we talk. If we see corruption in any shape or form, we're going to highlight it. Make we talk. Jeffery Tavares represents yard and broad and the entire diaspora. As long as it affects the life of our nation, uncover the truth. Make we reason. Make we talk. And we don't care about no vumva viva va. No upper echelon. Nobody is not above the law. As long as it not help Jamaica, make we talk. Make we talk. Unity is strength. Make we reason. Make we talk. If we see corruption in any shape or form, we're going to highlight it. Make we talk. Jeffery Tavares represents yard and broad and the entire diaspora. As long as it affects the life of our nation, uncover the truth. Make we reason. Make we talk. And we don't care about no vumva viva va. No upper echelon. Nobody is not above the law. As long as it not help Jamaica, make we talk. Make we talk. Unity is strength. Make we reason. Make we talk. If we see corruption in any shape or form, we're going to highlight it. Make we talk. Jeffery Tavares represents yard and broad and the entire diaspora. As long as it affects the life of our nation, uncover the truth. Make we reason. Make we talk. And we don't care about no vumva viva va. No upper echelon. Nobody is not above the law. As long as it not help Jamaica, make we talk. Make we talk. Unity is strength. Make we reason. Make we talk. If we see corruption in any shape or form, we're going to highlight it. Make we talk. Jeffery Tavares represents yard and broad and the entire diaspora. As long as it affects the life of our nation, uncover the truth. Make we reason. Make we talk. And we don't care about no vumva viva va. No upper echelon. Nobody is not above the law. As long as it not help Jamaica, make we talk. Make we talk. Unity is strength. Make we reason. Make we talk. If we see corruption in any shape or form, we're going to highlight it. Make we talk. Jeffery Tavares represent yard and broad and the entire diaspora. As long as it affect the life of our nation, uncover the truth, make we reason, make we talk. And we don't care about no vumva viva va, no upper echelon, nobody is not above the law. As long as it not help Jamaica, make we talk. Make we talk. Unity is strength. Make we reason. Make we talk. If we see corruption in any shape or form, we're going to highlight it. Make we talk. Jeffery Tavares represent yard and broad and the entire diaspora. As long as it affect the life of our nation, uncover the truth, make we reason, make we talk. And we don't care about no vumva viva va, no upper echelon, nobody is not above the law. As long as it not help Jamaica, make we talk. Make we talk. Unity is strength. Make we reason. Make we talk. If we see corruption in any shape or form, we're going to highlight it. Make we talk. Jeffery Tavares represent yard and broad and the entire diaspora. As long as it affect the life of our nation, uncover the truth, make we reason, make we talk. And we don't care about no vumva viva va, no upper echelon, nobody is not above the law. As long as it not help Jamaica, make we talk. Make we talk.